Hi, I'm Pete Holloway. I'm a retired financial advisor and a retired certified financial planner. And as always, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to On Money. Today's guest is David Allinder. He is the publisher of INWheeling Magazine. He's a Pittsburgh native, got his BA in Business Administration from Duquesne, was a consultant at Duquesne and Carnegie Mellon for 18 years, and also has an MBA from Duquesne. August 2007, now unfortunately, I pound on this all the time, we don't feel very good about ourselves in this area. And one day in August, a glossy magazine showed up about wheeling. It was full color, 30, 60 pages, and it was about us, and it was positive. And it really is one of those moments that really has stayed with me forever. David, you did that, and I want to thank you for coming up with the concept, taking the risk, an incredible risk, because publishing that magazine, the cost the first time, you probably didn't have much advertising, and so anyway, thanks for doing that, and again, taking the risk. Tell us the history of INWheeling.
Well, as you said, we started in 2007. It was Dominic Cerrone and I that started that together. And actually, the first issue was not much in the hole in terms of money.
Well, never mind, I won't say that.
Surprisingly, no. We sold probably 80% of our costs in the first issue, and the second issue made a small profit.
Congrats, because that's rare.
Yes, and no, we didn't know that because we knew nothing about magazines. All we knew was a lot of magazines are not very good. And we had said we want to do the best of the best. So, and we knew what we could see and what we liked. So, we went ahead with it, and it's been going ever since.
Well, congratulations, and again, the best of the best. The quality of the magazine, just again, glossy paper, the quality of the writing, the quality of the photographer. You've made sure that it does stay at the top level.
Yes, and we have a formula with our writing. We don't waste our readers' time. So many times you open a magazine and you look at the table of contents and you read the titles and you have no idea what the article's about because they're these kitschy, fun, you have to keep writers under control because they start doing all kinds of things that they want to be creative, which is nice, except that our readers they're not going to give you that much time. If they can't see what the article's about when they read the title, they're not going to read it.
Or buy the magazine.
Right. So we have titles that actually tell you what's in the article. And then also when we start the article, we don't talk about how blue the sky was that day or the crisp autumn air. We get right into it because people don't have time for all of that. They want to be picked up. They want the information that helps them feel better about themselves and feel better about their city. So, and you're going to get 15 minutes of their time. So we don't waste people's time, and people give us feedback all the time that they appreciate that they can sit down, read this magazine, feel better about themselves, feel better about their city, and come out knowing something new that benefits them. So that's the formula we've been following.
Now, you publish on a quarterly basis. Every quarter, the magazine has a specific subject all the way through it.
That is correct.
We'll talk about the current issue in a second, but what are some of the past subjects that you've gone over? And maybe you could tell us the one that you felt was the best and the one that you felt was not quite as good.
I mean, they all had a reason. Some of them are maybe a little bit more powerful reason than others. So I mean, there were issues that were a little bit softer, but you have to give, if you're presenting ideas and presenting possibilities to people, and they're all really intense. People need a break every once in a while. They want to have a little bit of fun. So we'll throw in an issue that's maybe a little bit on the lighter side. So
how do you come up with your idea for the issue?
I usually sit down now over the phone with a couple of writers, and and we will kick around ideas. And we also get people approaching us with ideas. So I'm walking through Kroger and someone comes up to me and says, I have an idea for an issue. So for instance, someone came up to me recently and said, I think you should do something on the department stores. And not long after that, I ran into someone who was a descendant of one of the department stores, and she had a ton of information. So I said, okay, we're going to do the
There you
spring
go.
issue on that.
Oh, great.
And we're going to grow from there. And some of it, you know, it seems very planned, and some of it is planned, some of it's not. Some of it just happens, and we don't know how. When we start an issue, we have an idea for it, but we all look at it and say, I don't know how we're going to pull this off. But it all just falls into place. I don't know how. It's magic. So
That's great. Well, this is we'll talk about your advertising in a second, but this is a terrific marketing tool for companies or people. If someone, can people come up to you and say, you know, I do this, or this is an idea, can you do an article about me? Would you consider that? Or
no.
Okay.
And it's because of what I just said. It's not a total no. The answer is, if it fits a theme and it fits our content and supports our content, the answer is yes.
Great.
But that's one of the problems with magazines, is they become the property of their advertisers, and we do not allow that, because a lot of advertisers, they want to fill the whole magazine with articles about themselves. And people don't run, I've had people call and say, can you please do an article about our financial services business? And I say, with all due respect, people aren't interested. You need to let us create the content. And we're going to create an environment where people in there, and then they're going to see your ad, and they're going to connect your ad with good content, with a good magazine that supports the community, and they're going to take a look at what you're offering. And then we get people that call up and say, well, I've written this book. Can you please do something? And the answer is always the same. If the book happens to fit the content of one of our issues, then we can do it. And there are occasions where someone's called up with one of those requests, and it just happened to fit perfectly. Magic, that's one of those. So I encourage people to call, but if you want to look ahead of time, you can go on our website and look at our media guide. It's under advertise. You just click on advertise, and there's media kit, and it's got the subjects for the whole year. So we have them ahead of time. We redo them every December, so right now you're only going to see up through the winter issue. So
This quarter's issue is titled Wheeling Plays. Tell us about how you came up with that idea and what it's about.
It is Wheeling Plays. Wheeling Plays is the title, and the subtitle is Sports Groups That Connect Us. Okay, so this entire year, the theme we're focusing on for the year is how small groups are the fabric that holds our community together. What does that mean? When you get together, when people get together in a group, a small group, they connect with each other, and they do a task, they do a sport, we did one on prayer groups and so on, but it's about coming together in a small group, connecting with each other, not only for that task, but also for supporting each other as things come up. So in this issue, Wheeling Plays, there's a women's hockey team, and in the article, they talk about how if someone's getting a divorce, or someone is unemployed, or someone's child is ill, the other people on the team step up and help.
Right.
So that's what I mean by fabric of the community. So if you are not connected, you don't have any threads in this fabric going to other people, and you get hit, good luck.
Yeah,
But when you're part of a group and you have fabric and you have connections, the fabric can get hit, and it can survive it, and it actually becomes stronger because people start pulling the threads and helping out. So this whole year is about exactly that. So we did prayer groups, we did community service groups. This was the last one. I'm not sure if we talked about this on the last one, but this is about, there's something absolutely extraordinary about Wheeling is you look at the list of volunteer community service groups that are available through the city. There's like 30 of them. So if you want to serve your community and connect with other people,
or vice versa.
Either way, doesn't matter.
That might be more important to some people.
Just get in there. So whatever happens, anytime people connect for whatever reason, it's going to be good. So there's many lists of how to do that. And then also in this issue, Mayor Elliott invites everyone. This is rare that a politician says, please come to the public meetings and give us your input. But he does in all sincerity. And we give a guide in the book to all the public meetings. So not only is he inviting you, but we're listing them all and the times and when they occur and where they occur, and saying, please come. So that's a different kind of group. Maybe it's you go to the one
We'll
meeting.
be listing the website, and people can go to the Wheeling Serves issue and actually find those lists of things, because people, you move into a new town, you don't know anybody.
Correct.
How do you connect in a low-threat environment?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because they can't get it on the website.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because we are not an online publication. We are a paper publication. You will not find INWheeling Magazine anywhere online. People say, how could you do that? Everyone does everything online. You know what? People want to be off their phones every once in a while. They want to be off their devices. This is only available in paper, at newsstands. On the website, we do have a list of all the retailers, but Kroger service desks are the
Right.
easiest place to
Or
get
the,
them.
the public library, if someone wants to.
Yes, there are back issues at Ohio County Public Library. You can purchase back issues on our website, but yeah, they're available.
That's great.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about, again, purchase, the revenue. You have advertisements from people in Pittsburgh.
I do.
They see the value of this magazine for Wheeling, because I'm sure we think, oh, Pittsburgh, they see Wheeling as nothing, and yet here are doctors or whatever saying, come see me.
We got our two new advertisers in Wheeling Plays in this issue were both outside of the area. One was from Washington, one was from Pittsburgh. One is Greater Pittsburgh Vascular Surgeons, and they are specifically reaching out to the Wheeling community to provide their, they do varicose veins and a whole range of vascular services. They do, stents and all kinds, everything you can imagine. But they're reaching out to Wheeling, and they chose us as their
the mechanism.
Yes. And then from Pittsburgh, we have EK Insurance. Sounds boring, but she's real. Actually, it's Elizabeth Klippa, and she specializes in helping people who have retired recently.
I'm okay, thank you, Elizabeth.
To get all of their health insurance things sorted out, and she carries multiple, so she's able to connect people with the right. And she said, I like Wheeling. I've had some customers from Wheeling, and they're wonderful. They listen to me, and I can help them. We get the best results because people from Wheeling, when they sit down with me, they trust. People from Pittsburgh, they come in and they already know everything, and they're usually wrong.
Other cities in West Virginia, I've never looked at it, but is this Charleston or Martinsburg? Are there other similar types of magazines?
Yes. When we started INWheeling Magazine, we looked around to see, and there was one in Charleston. I don't know if it's still around. I think it might have closed, but most cities the size of Wheeling do have a magazine. So you'll even see Altoona, Pennsylvania has one. No, they're not as glossy. I mean, we put a liquid UV coating on the cover and high quality paper and all that stuff, but they have something. So that was one of the things that encouraged us and said, well, hey, if these people can do it, there isn't one in Wheeling, and Wheeling is actually bigger and a more sophisticated community, so it should work, and that was correct. It did.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, what you said you have some the upcoming issues in mind. Give us some ideas, and again, people, if they have a connection to that, might want to contact you.
Absolutely, yes. The issue that I'm working on right now is on Wheeling's iconic events, and such as Ogilvy Fest and the Festival of Lights, the Italian Festival, the Lebanese Festival.
Not historic events, but the kinds of things that would attract tourism.
They
Blues
are
Fest, that kind of thing.
current events that are currently available, and then we're also going to look at the history of these events, because some of them have been going on for 100 years. But it's the groups, back to groups, it's the groups that put on and make these events happen. So these events, not only do we have a small group that in almost all cases are volunteers that are coming together to put on these events, but they're bringing people together, bringing hundreds and, in some cases, thousands of people together. In the case of the Italian festival, it's might be well over 1,000 people that come to that. And they are, so not only are they creating the connections between the people that put it on, but the people that come see each other. They see their neighbors, they see their friends. Hey, I haven't seen you for a while.
Plus,
what's going on?
It's great economic development because they may stay in a hotel, they may eat,
Yes.
and they're going to park. So
Yes, and
it's outside money that flows in, which is the best kind of money as far as
And
I'm
we're going to
concerned.
have some documentation on that. Frank O'Brien is helping me put together an economic impact report
Wow.
on the events in Wheeling, so people can actually see that. We're going to have a really nice representation of that, which I'm excited to see.
That's great. And other future issues
The-
that
well,
you can talk about?
The only thing I have planned at this point beyond that is the spring issue, which is the department stores.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah.
that ought to get a lot of interest.
I think so, because we're looking at the history. We wanted, in a lot of our issues, we do the past, the present, and the future. So we're going to do a detailed interview on how the Highlands came together, and so because I'm not sure that everyone understands that whole story. So so we're and that would be the present, because this is the big, and then also downtown. There's some really nice growth.
Well,
of
Center
retail.
Market is extraordinary what's happened down
Yes.
there recently.
Yes.
I love the fish market, but it's much more than the fish market now.
Sure. And the people that are creating business, if you notice, they're not coming and going.
Yeah, they're staying.
They're staying.
And
So
they're very creative businesses too.
Yes.
A niche store that you won't find anywhere else.
and they're pulling it off, which
Yeah.
is very important.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. This Wheeling, now, just to expand a little bit on Wheeling Place, because there's people out there that might want to be getting out and stepping out and connecting in groups. So we have the feature article, which is on a number of sports groups that already exist. One of them is kind of funny. It's not, people wouldn't think of this one here. This is Ladies of the Knit. Does it sound like a sport?
K-N-I-T, knit.
Yes, yeah. But they get together and they knit hats and scarves for the homeless and other.
wow.
But they do compete. And these are maybe people that might not be able to go out and hike and play tennis and so on, but they can sit there, and it's good for hand dexterity and focus and so on. So it is a physical activity. And then also we have that feature article. We have kids sports. Now, not every child wants to play baseball or football. So we contacted Ogilvy Institute, and we have the School of Dance, because some kids are more interested in ballet or hip hop dance as opposed to playing football. So that is a wonderful place to, as a group, come together and learn a sport that requires agility and so on. So we have the kids. We have a list of all of the facilities. Wait till you see the list of facilities that are available in city facilities. Just the city facilities are enormous. There's a detailed article on the Highland Sports Complex. If you have not been there,
It's an extraordinary building. It really is.
Extraordinary.
And they have these, no one knows this, but, they'll have a wrestling tournament, and over the course of a month, thousands of people come
Yes.
in for that. And again, they're buying food here, they're staying at a hotel, they're paying parking, and, those outside dollars are pretty nice to get.
They are, and that's, and somehow, and maybe we'll have some information in the Wheeling retails. I don't know how they pulled it off, but, it's like, as you're amazed, you looked at the first INWheeling Magazine and said, how did you pull this off? I look at that facility and say, how did you pull this off? Because it is so nice. But we see that over and over again in Wheeling. How did this happen? And it's like, how did the Capitol Theater get remodeled from one end to the next? But it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the small groups. I think all these projects, they're all initiated and done by a lot of volunteer small groups, and they pull it off, and it's about connections. So you have all the connections, you can make things happen, and I honestly, I think that's what's
Great.
making it go.
Well, I want to thank you for this. we'll probably be seeing you next quarter or shortly after that to talk about the magazine and what else is coming up. Appreciate your enthusiasm. It's so nice because, again, we're so darn negative around, and you know, the optimism and that we're seeing here is terrific. I want to thank you for that.
And it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We have a choice. We choose our mindset. If we want to be negative about it, if you are a person who has negative thoughts about your community, recognize that and say, is that where I really want to be?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, pick up a copy of INWheeling Magazine. And we'll give you lots of things
Mm-hmm.
to be positive about in Wheeling. And if you're positive about your city, you're positive about yourself, you take away all limits and things keep going.
Great philosophy. Thank you very much. And I want to thank you all. We'll be seeing you next week. I'm Pete Holloway, and have a great week.
Hello, I'm Levi Phillips, a senior medical laboratory science student at West Liberty University, and I'm going to show you what it's like to go on a clinical rotation at WVU Medicine, Wheeling Hospital. So now we're in the blood bank, and we have all the blood for patients that could be used for traumas, transfusion therapy, if they need platelets, fresh frozen plasma, blood product. This is where you would go to get it. So this instrument here is the Vision. It does forward and reverse typing on blood. You get A positive, you get the type, antibody panel, antibody identification. So next we're going to head over to chemistry, where we process most of the samples. We receive our samples right here, and they get all sorted out. And then we can take the sample from here. And most of the time, we'll put them in here to their desired location, and then the instrument will pick it up, and it'll move it along the track, and it'll take it to some of the analyzers over here. So in the chemistry area, we receive samples from in-house, out-of-house patients, and what we do is we can have complete metabolic tests, metabolic panels, electrolytes, you know, just all the basic chemistries that you would get on a routine specimen. Next, we're going to move over to hematology. So now, in hematology, we get a lot of blood smears. When we look at a blood smear, we're looking for white blood cells, red blood cell morphology, white blood cell differential, so neutrophilic eggs, bands, lymphocytes, monocytes, stuff like that, anything out of the norm. Now we're going to go across the hallway and visit microbiology. So here we have some agar plates. This is blood agar. We grow into a culture. We could take a urine sample and streak this, and then we'll do diagnostic tests on it, and we'll find out what bacteria is growing in that sample. That's a gram-negative rod, probably Klebsiella pneumo. This is the walk-in incubator, and it stays at 37 degrees Celsius, other known as body temperature, because that's what a lot of microorganisms grow at, is body temperature. CO2 incubator, where microorganisms that grow best with CO2 are kept in here and grown in here. And this is where the blood cultures are kept, all sequentially. So this is the zero pressure room, or the isolation room, and in here we have the hood. So if we're working with bacteria that's airborne or something like that, everything goes in through the vent and not out through the door, so there's only air coming in, not going out. So we'll take our loop, get a little loop full of our sample, and then we'll streak for isolation. We streak for isolation so we can get isolated colonies, so we can pull them off there, and it'll help us identify that bacteria. Thank you for checking out the Medical Laboratory Science program. For more information, go to westliberty.edu/MLS.